Do you sometimes get stuck? Of course, we all do. First one here. We want to reach another level of financial success. We want to attract a different client type of client. We want to do things different. We don't want different things. We want to do things differently. There's always another level that we want to achieve, and somehow we often get stuck. So this week we have a beautiful conversation with Monique Gaffney, where we talk about and we dive deep in human behavior on how do we get stuck? How do we stay stuck? And of course, the process to get unstuck. Let's go to my interview. Monique, thank you so much for accepting my invitation today. I'm so excited. Oh my gosh. So we talked last week, I think it was last week, we talked before interview because this topic is so dear to my heart because we all get there. We all get stuck. We all get stuck. There's no way to say it. And it's like, okay, how do we get there? And the beauty is if I can arrive there with grace and now what to do with it, I welcome it. But before we go in our topic today, could you take a moment to introduce yourself, please?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And I just want to give gratitude to your audience for allowing us to have this space today. I'm so excited just to chat and bring more awareness and light into what we're going to talk about, because I think it's often not talked about in the business world. So my name is Monique Gaffney. Thank you again for having me. I am a mentor, guide, author, speaker, conduit, messenger. I'm all the things. Call me whatever you do, all the things. But I love working with women specifically. I have worked with men, but it takes a very special man that I will allow into being mentored with me. But I work with leaders who really desire to step into their highest potential and really remove the blocks that are holding them back from doing so. So we all get, no matter what level you're at, we were just talking about Oprah, right? In the green room before that. So we were talking about even Oprah has someone that helps her continue removing her blocks. And if you read her recent book that she just published, it was all about a lot of her childhood traumas and things that she experienced, which is a lot of the work that I do with the leaders that I work with. So, yeah.
Thank you. Which book from Oprah?
It's called What Happened to You.
I adored that book.
Yes.
It's one book that, yes, you can read it in one shot, but you will definitely come back to it because you can't take it all at once.
Yes. No.
So the topic that we wanted to talk together, which is where you help a lot of leaders, is how to get unstuck. And I love how you said that at every level,
absolutely,
there's always something, there's always another, I often say, there's always another level. So, right. And often as leaders, as entrepreneurs, when we get to another level or we want to step into another level and we get stuck, we do a lot of very interesting things to ourselves. Very interesting. So I want to know from your extensive background, what are the mistakes or the mishap that you see people when they get stuck and how when they try to get unstuck?
Yeah. What's interesting, and we just talked a little bit about no matter what level we're at, I literally work with beginner entrepreneurs who want to come in and launch their own business, their own thing, their own products, their own services. And I've worked with high-level, multi-seven-figure CEOs who own their own companies and are running full-on businesses. Mm-hmm. And the theme, the common through line, the thread that they all experience when they get stuck, it's the same thing. When they try, the mistake that they all make, that no matter the level, no matter what it is that's getting them in that stuck place, they immediately go into fix it mode. And they want to fix it and do something right away to fix what is stuck. It's stuck. I got to fix it. I have to do what's the next strategy then? This isn't working. We're stuck here. We're stuck at either this level of maybe financial level, right? We're stuck at this income or this financial level revenue cap. We've hit this revenue cap, whatever it is. Or maybe I'm stuck in this position that I'm in and I can't get to the next level, or wherever it is.
Or I'm stuck in this marketplace.
Stuck in this marketplace.
Market.
Exactly. And so they immediately run to fix it. So run to either hire a new coach or mentor, or run to what's the next, everyone's doing that strategy. That must be the thing that's working right now. Let me hurry up and go implement that as well. Let me go do this. Let me do this. And it's almost like slapping Band-Aids on the thing, because the stuck, quote unquote, what we're calling the stuck, in where they're at is actually a root. There's a root to it, and you have to find the root cause if you really want to remedy it and get unstuck.
That's so true. And yes, we try, and I'll put myself in there totally. You know, when we get stuck, that's when we get in the hustle game. And we just do more and sometimes do new things, the next shiny object, or do more of the same thing that's definitely not working, but we think that with more, somehow it's going to work, which we can bring back the quote of Einstein, you know?
Exactly.
Definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. We definitely do that, you know? What else do you see entrepreneurs, leaders of? I like this. We get into fix mode. What else?
Yeah. You know, we also just stay stuck. Stay stuck at that same level. And it comes from sometimes a place of like, well, now I don't know how to get unstuck, right? I don't know what to do next. I don't know. So it kind of goes into two parts. There's the ones that are like immediately tap into their masculine energy, get into the hustle mode. That was me. Fix it, do something, whatever's next, keep it going forward. Cause at least then I feel like I'm doing something, even though I'm still stuck. It feels like I'm doing something.
I feel useless. I feel useful.
There's the other group who then just stays stuck. And then they start feeling like, well, I'll never, and almost falls into a sort of victim mode. Well, this is just what it is. This is how it's going to be. Well, there's no, I can't find any good talent to fill these roles and positions that I need, or there's no way I'm going to be able to break into that marketplace. It's totally different from what I do. There's no way, even though I know I have a great message, who's going to accept? And they just stay there and don't do anything and accept what they have or what they've created to that point, and don't really push themselves to go and see how to, again, dig into the root, why they're stuck. And then they just stay there. So it's almost like, I see this even in my own groups, in my own clients. They fall into one of the two categories. For me, myself, I always fell into, and I always do, not anymore because I don't do it that way anymore. But the old Monique that operated from that space would just hustle, do the next thing, go. And then there are the other group that falls into like, then they just stay in the stuck place. They're both still stuck. Right. But one, it looks different. It appears that they're doing something to fix it, even though, like you said, they could be just doing the same thing that's getting them nowhere. It's just the hamster wheel that they're spinning on. The other ones will just sit there and just feel stuck, and it just feels a different energy, right? They're just sitting there kind of waiting for something to change. They're still doing the same things and still in the stuck place. It's just, it looks different. It's the same thing.
And do you see sometimes people going from one to the other, to the other? Like they feel stuck, they hustle.
Yes.
And then they're obviously still not seeing no results. So then they give up on that. And then they go back into victim mode, or like, well, kind of giving up of, well, it is what it is.
Right.
Do you see people navigated from one to the other as well?
Absolutely. And that's the pattern. That's part of the pattern, because you'll feel like you're doing something. Again, I'll call my own self out and say, I did this. So, and the thing is with the hustle, when we get into that like desire to fix it, hurry up and fix it. And that's a part of our pattern. That's what causes the burnout. So then it's really the burnout that you're feeling when you're on this other side, when you're on the other side of the loop. And then you're like, well, that didn't work either. So let me just sit here for a minute and do nothing, because nothing's working. I'm trying all the things and nothing is working. I'm still stuck in this place. And so then you'll get another you'll see something else, the shiny object. Oh, well, that seems to work. And then you've gained enough energy back and you have maybe a little something that's like, don't stop, which that's your spirit speaking to you. So listen to that. Don't stop. And then you get back on the hustle train again and do something else and then fall back into, well, that didn't work either. And it's because that's not the thing, right? That's not the thing that we should be doing.
Because I must say, I navigated the two.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I did too.
I kind of like dated both, It's like this and I like this, and I go there and I go there. Oh yeah, I can totally see it. So I think now like people can see their past behaviors because we've all been stuck.
Absolutely.
Sometimes we're a little bit stuck, medium stuck, sometimes we're really stuck.
For sure.
But I think now people can have an idea of, oh yes, recognizing their pattern.
Absolutely.
Once I recognize my patterns, what do I do?
This is where it gets juicy. So first of all, it takes a willingness, right? It's a willingness to recognize the pattern first. You have to be like, if you're watching this, right? You have your clients, your followers, anyone who's watching this is either going to say, oh my gosh, I see myself in this. I totally do that loop and I stay in that cycle and I get in that space. It's a willingness to even just have the awareness to say, yeah, that's me. Sometimes that's actually totally me. That's like the first step. The second step is taking what I call, I'm a huge advocate and proponent and fan. I'm a raving fan of radical ownership. When we can take radical ownership and say, I'm totally doing this. And what do I do to shift the pattern? Not just fix it, but how do I shift the pattern so that it's no longer my pattern anymore? And I get to rewrite the story in a new way. This old story, I'm done. It's not working for me anymore. I need to rewrite a new blueprint, a new plan, right? Something else that's going to feel better for me because everything I've been doing to this point doesn't work. That radical ownership of like, yeah, I did this. Yeah, I chased all the shiny objects. Yes, I kept hiring different coaches that weren't aligned with me and didn't feel good, but I did it in hopes that it would be the fix for getting me unstuck, getting me to that next level, right? Like bringing on a whole bunch of team or staff or whatever that you knew you did it and it wasn't the answer that you needed to do, and taking radical ownership of like, I did all of this. Being stuck is all because of me. Right? It's all because of my choices that I've made, the things that I've done to this point, full on radical ownership. When we can own it without judgment, without getting into victim mode, without poor me, oh no, what did I do? But you know what? An empowered ownership says, I did these, I made these choices. Maybe it resulted in some good, but it wasn't my highest and best outcome. It's not making the impact that I desire to make. Then you get to move on to how then do I?
Before we go there though.
Yes, absolutely.
That radical ownership. Mm-hmm. That piece is huge.
Yeah. It's huge. It's my favorite thing in the world.
Of course. That piece can unlock many things. Absolutely. And I know there's other steps to it, but this one I think is a really big one. Mm-hmm. Where do people get stuck in the radical ownership?
This is good. Where people get stuck in radical ownership is they don't want to do it. They don't want to take ownership, right? It's easier to blame others for our circumstances. It's easier to blame the climate or the political climate of the world. It's easier to blame that business is slow because of, the market is saturated. It's easier to blame the fact that you didn't hit your numbers this month or this quarter or this year or whatever because of XYZ. You fill in the blank, right? It's easy for us to even pass the buck. Well, all those emails didn't go out because my assistant, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. When we can take radical ownership and what I love to call cleaning, making sure our side of the street is clean, right? Like where everybody's on their own street and we're all together intersecting. even if we have employees or we have business partners or clients or whatever it is, taking the radical ownership and looking at the whole situation and saying, what was my part in it? What was my part? What did I do in my part or not do that resulted in this? Yes, maybe there were more players in the play, but in my part, what did I do or not do? And most people don't want to take ownership for anything. They don't want to, because then they feel like, well, then people will blame me. So then there's a sense of judgment. There's a sense of shame. There's a sense of, what will people think of me? What will I look like? I won't look like a good leader if I take ownership, especially in leadership. I see a lot of leaders get stuck with ownership, and especially radical ownership. Like there's a difference between ownership and radical ownership.
Yes. I love that you say that, because I'll often hear from leaders, well, it's my team, so I'm the one who's responsible.
Right.
That might be ownership, but it's definitely, in my point of view, and I'd like to hear you on that, it's not radical ownership.
It's not radical ownership. Radical ownership is literally, it's not just saying, oh, it's my team, I take responsibility. That's surface, right? It's very surface and easy, and it makes your ego feel good that you said it. Gives you a good you get the gold star. Your ego's like, gold star today. You took ownership. You got a good job. But in the radical ownership, it's really dissecting down and looking inside of the whole mechanics of what happened or what went wrong or where we're stuck, and saying, so I just did this recently, and I'm fully transparent. If I literally say all the things, so there's nothing that I hold back on. But in myself, I redid all of my core values, and I was working with a coach last month, and she helped me really get down to what my true core values are, and that what I'm bringing out into my business, into my brand, out into the world with those core values. And one of them that came up for me, I said radical ownership, right? And that's huge for me. However, the way it transfers into my business is not being a bottleneck. So that I was like, I need to take radical ownership of where I'm a bottleneck in my own company, in my own business. And that's very sometimes simple as like, I need to review, a schedule of emails that my assistant sends me. And I'm like, I don't want to do that today. Well, first of all, I'm creating a bottleneck in my business. Secondly, I need to take radical ownership and literally say, I am not doing this right now because I'm choosing to sit and watch Netflix with my husband tonight. Like whatever it is, you know what I mean? Instead of glorifying it and I'm so busy. I'm so sorry, Miss Assistant. I didn't have time to do this, and making it this pretty ownership. That's surface pretty ownership that makes our ego feel good. Instead of saying, I didn't do this, I'm owning that I didn't do this. And this is why, because I totally put what you sent me off to the side, even though you're a hard worker and you did everything, but I'm literally sitting here watching TV with my husband. That's why I didn't do it. So
or it can be, I decided to,
X, Y.
Yes.
Right.
It can be, I decided to work out in client files or whatever the excuse is.
It is. Yeah, own it and say what it is, because that then leads you into a level of transparency that's what the people that we work with crave. Like leaders who are transparent, you can only get into a level of transparency, which that's what forms connection, right? When you're in leadership and you're leading people, whether it's teams or groups or whatever kind of leadership you're in, even if you're just a public figure showing up on social media or online, whatever form of leadership that you're in, the level of transparency is going to dictate how people feel that they can come to you, operate with you, work with you, connect with you on deeper levels or not. The more surface we keep it as leaders, that's going to dictate who we call in to our businesses as clients, as whatever, right? When we can come out in full authenticity, radical ownership, transparency, we're calling in people who want to be led to that themselves. They have a desire to be led deeper. They want to be led in their own authenticity. They desire to take radical ownership of their own life, of their businesses, in their relationships and wherever else, because this all bleeds into every aspect of our life, right? It's not just compartmentalized into our business. This is everywhere in our lives.
We are one human.
We are one human, and our essence is dripping everywhere.
So I love that that specificity of radical ownership. And I must say, for me, ownership and radical ownership feels different in my life.
It does. It does.
When I really sit with it and I'm like, all right, Sarah, step up.
Yeah.
Like, you did this or you didn't do this. And it's like, why? So once I own it, really.
Yes. And it's in every situation. Like, it's not just, and I think that's where the radical part comes into it. And a lot of people, it's not to the level of saying, let's see, for example, I've had some people say, well, that's not all your fault. Mm-hmm. And it's not taking fault or placing blame, but actually the ownership of every single thing. So when I say radical ownership, and I know that we're speaking to leaders in business, mm-hmm. but I apply this to every aspect of my life. So I will look at my marriage and my relationship. And even if my husband came home cranky and was, said something that wasn't like nice or just, not in cohesion, I look at myself, and it's in my own radical ownership is like, okay, how am I reacting? How am I responding? Did I say something that did I get trite back with him? Was there something what is my role? Is my side of the street clean? Am I operating from a full place of love and transparency? And even when someone's cranky or grumpy or whatever, that I'm still coming from a space of love, that I'm still showing that in that space. And so it's all of these. And if I did not, owning that. And even if they came first and said, whatever that was not the best, that I can be the one that goes first and says, you know what, I'm sorry. I know that you were probably in a bad mood and I responded in a way that wasn't helping the situation. I apologize for that. That is the radical ownership, not waiting for the other person to fix it first, but completely always taking ownership of that your side of the street is clean. And I do that and I teach this in every aspect of life. In business, it's like, to me, it's essential in business because we're leaders, we're showing up this way. And for me, it's crucial to lead this way. But again, it takes a willingness.
It takes a willingness and takes an awareness of the ego.
For sure.
Of, okay, it is going to hurt my ego.
Yes. Perfect.
Yeah. I think it's a new game we can play, Yes, how can I hurt my ego this week?
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
It's so good. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of shocking to people at first when I tell them, we talk about radical ownership and they're like, what is this? And once I explain it, the more you do it, it's like anything, the better you get at it. And then it doesn't hurt your ego anymore. And like you said, it kind of feels like it feels fun. Like I enjoy taking ownership for my side of the street now versus before I was like, oh my gosh, how is this making me feel? What am I going to say? What does this mean? Like, all of the things that our brain, our ego, our human tells us, when it's really our soul desires for us to be in our highest and best potential. And that means taking ownership of the things that our human does that isn't always exactly what our soul would do.
Not exactly.
Yeah.
Definitely. So once I really own it,
yes.
How do we get unstuck?
Once you really own it, then
which is a big step in itself. Sorry,
big step in itself. Yes, no, it's so good. Once we own it, then we're able to do the how. Right? How do we get unstuck? And this part is really it kind of goes together with radical ownership and goes together with the willingness. Right? It's such a step, taking like the baby steps to get to it, because it requires a willingness to go in and instead of going out to fix it, which is what we normally do, right? We go out, like run out to the next thing to fix it, run out. The answer is to go within. So we have to go within and say, why am I really stuck? My favorite question to ask is why, right? I feel like there's a big power, like the power of why, not like finding your why or your reason here, but asking yourself, there's so much power in asking why and digging in to that why. So why am I stuck right now? Well, it's because of blank. So why do you feel this way about blank? And then letting those answers come out. And I dig and dig and dig and dig until you find the root, because there's a root there that typically came from somewhere in childhood. It came from somewhere, there's some pattern, there's some belief, whether it's a limiting belief or just a pattern that we've perpetuated because that's what we were taught, even if it was subconscious, even if it was something that we picked up by watching our parents or watching other leaders model something, or maybe we had a grandparent or, some figure that we like really admired and they were excellent in business and they did business this one way. And that's the way. That was planting subconscious seeds in us, telling us that we have to do certain things certain ways. Yet that's not true to what our soul came here to do, right? What our soul came here to do as leaders. And so we're mimicking and mirroring stuff that we picked up along the way that planted all of these seeds. And of course we're feeling stuck because it's our spirit battling what we think that we're supposed to be doing because of what the world is teaching us, the patterns and limiting beliefs that were pressed upon us, the fears, the doubts, the insecurity, all of the worthiness, right? Do we feel worthy of going for that next level job, that next level in our business, that next financial income that we want to hit, like those next big goals? Do you feel worthy? If not, was there fear behind it and why, right? Digging into, looking, going within and digging, because there is a root there. There is something that it's not just the surface stuff or we've been slapping band-aids on it. There's a root wound, if you will, like a root something that needs to be looked at, met, say hello to it, get to know well, and then say, what is it that you need? Because oftentimes that's all that needs to be shifted is that energy or that limiting belief or that false thought that keeps coming in or that pattern that we've been just doing over and over again in order to do it different, right? If we want to do something different, the thing that hasn't been working, the thing that's keeping us stuck there, we have to know what we're working with. If you don't know what you're working with, you can't change it. You can try, but it's not going to change.
No, because you're going to go for the next shiny object, the next coach, the next conference, the next program, the next whatever.
Yes.
And I love it. So like if we take an example where, and we've both had this definitely with clients where I want to reach another level of success in my business, which is awesome, but I'm stuck there. I'm stuck where I am now, but this is where I want to go. But when we start digging, it's not in the doing.
No.
But there's a belief that I'm not supposed to make more than this, or people who are rich are crooks, or there's a story there that no matter how much doing we do, it's not going to give any results.
No. It might get you some results. I will never discount that action doesn't get results. It will get you some results. It won't feel good. That's the difference. And you will continue feeling the way that you're feeling inside, even if, and this, you probably come and see this a lot with your clients. I see this a lot. They'll get to 7 figures. They will have their own companies, like the whole 9, and they still feel completely unfulfilled inside.
Yes. Yes.
They have it all. They have it all and they still feel completely unfulfilled inside. And it's because they're doing the doing, they're doing the thing, they're taking the action, they're getting the things, they have results, but that's actually not the results that they truly desire. That's not what they truly desire. What they truly desire is coming from within, meeting inside. What are all of these things? Who am I really? What am I actually really here to do? And when that is all uncovered, the interesting part, especially in the business world, and that's why I love this conversation that we're having, is that you have to do business this certain way, right? With all of the lead with the strategy, lead with the strategy. But like you and I both know, that's not the only part of the equation.
It's a cherry on top.
It is. It's the cherry on top. Whew, I have chills right now. So good.
Me too. It took me a while to figure out that it's a cherry on top, but when you do, you're like, oh. And
Yes.
there's all these beliefs. So and I love how you go within, why. I had a client, beautiful entrepreneur, like beautiful, wants to write a book, has been wanting to write a book for years, but always busy, too busy, always. Well, there's this and there's that and there's this and that. When there's not this, there's that, and there's always going to be something.
Yes.
But the beliefs that, you have to be busy. You're supposed to be busy as an entrepreneur. Otherwise, if you're not busy, you're lazy. That's pretty much the societal equation, right?
Absolutely.
But owning it of, yeah, I'm the one putting stuff back on my plate all the time.
Right.
I'm not letting go. Why?
And typically that's such a perfect example that you just shared, because that was totally me. I'm totally that. I have a book that I know I'm supposed to write. And this is like literally my whole life. Like I knew that I was supposed to write a book since I was like 10 years old. And I've said it for years since in my early 20s, I started vocalizing it and saying, I want to write a book to people, right? In business, like I was in the real estate industry for almost 20 years. And so I would even tell colleagues, clients, whatever, I'm going to write a book. I want to write a book. And they would encourage me, just do it. Just start, just do it. And, oh no, I'm so busy. I can't. I'll do it when my daughter is in high school, because then it will be less busy, right? Or when she goes off to college or whatever, like, oh, but I don't know how to start. I don't know what to do. And so even in the recent years, I bought all the courses, I signed up with coaches, like I signed up with all of the things. I have the exact blueprint on how to write a book and how to publish it. I did not do it yet, right? I didn't do it yet. And then I started asking myself, why? What is the real answer? What is the real root of why? And there was a fear behind it, fear of being seen, being heard, actually getting my message out into the world, actually owning that I'm an author. Like, there's so much, there was fear behind it. And I had to dig in, be willing, take ownership, and then dig in to what is it? What really is it there?
And do you find that once we dig in and we see what's there, we see the beliefs, we see the stories, we become aware of them, after that, the why is so much simpler and there's much less things to do.
Totally.
Than what we originally thought.
Totally. Well, what comes in, it's so beautiful to see. And I think this is my favorite part of doing this work is I get to physically see it because I'm working with clients, right? And it's, I get chills again just thinking about it. I literally see it, the clarity click. I see that moment of clarity where they're like, oh, I get it. Oh, this is why I've been doing this all along. Oh, this is why I've been holding myself back. Oh, I get it. I mean, it's incredible to visually see a person like click and snap out of it. That's where the magic really starts happening. And that's where they start getting exponential results, because you're no longer bound. I feel like I see, do you remember, I don't know if you ever watched Dumbo, the movie, like the cartoon movie, like I just got this visual right now. So in Dumbo, the original Disney cartoon of Dumbo, it was the circus and they had the elephants tied up and they had them tied up with the ropes around all four of and so they were just like stuck, like they felt like they were stuck and felt like they were trapped, right? It's the moment that you realize it was just a rope. It's an elephant that's like
an elephant and
tons. And it's literally just a rope with a peg in the ground. And the mama felt like she was stuck and literally stuck there with these little ropes. It's the same thing with us. It's like we're in these invisible ropes. They're trapped. We feel stuck and like we're trapped, when really all we have to do is break free. And the way to break free, we can easily just break free from them with the willingness, with the ownership, and with the digging in. And that's truly, it happens just like that. It's literally that click, the clarity comes in, you breathe this sigh of relief, because it's had you held back and stuck for so long. And now it's like a wide open road and you just take off.
Definitely so clear. I was actually talking with a client this week where her list of things that she wanted to do to grow her business. She already has a really nice business, and obviously we all want to grow our businesses all the time. But the list of things she wanted to do, and I'm like, all right, interesting. And I'm listening. And I'm like, there's a lot of stories in there.
Yeah.
And at one point, we actually start digging in together, because sometimes it does help
Absolutely.
with somebody, because the person is actually going to challenge you.
Yes.
And I'm like, if this is the type of client we want to attract,
Right. Yes.
this is how we want to make a difference.
Yes.
We just need to do these 2 steps.
Exactly.
And she was like, and you could see it in her body, like,
Yeah. Yeah. It's magic.
yes.
Little magic. It's beautiful.
Monique, loved our conversation.
Ew.
Oh, for the people who want to know more about you, because you have so many things to offer, you really dig deep, where can they find you in this beautiful, magical land of the World Wide Web?
You can connect with me on Instagram, follow me there, or you can just go to moniquegaffney.com.
Perfect. I'll make sure we put the link. That is a very simple one. That was a very easy contact information.
Yes.
Thank you so much for accepting my invitation, and thank you for walking us through a framework, but it's actually deeper than a framework. So I don't even know how to name it, but it's like a process.
It is. Yeah.
Get
It is. Yeah. And if you want to ask more, you're free to shoot me an email, monique@moniquegaffney.com, and just ask, tell me more. What should I do next? I'm happy to guide you, help you, however it is that you need. I want as many entrepreneurs as I can reach get unstuck, because we're here with great missions. We're here with a purpose. We're here with calling. The faster we get unstuck, the more we can step out into that leadership and serving the world the way that we were called and created to. And I'm here to help.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just loved this conversation. It was so potent in terms of revelation, bring awareness, and also what to do with it. So obviously after our talk, we continued talking, because that's what I love doing. That's why I love having the guests. But it really helps understand, okay, I'm stuck. Now what? And it's not about bringing another strategy, another action plan, another book, another conference, another program, another coach. It's not about that. It's not about the doing. It's about the digging. And when I understood that, it changed everything for me. And it also changed everything for my clients, because instead of bringing in a strategy, an action plan of something to do, we actually go and dig on what's important. What's the real thing that's getting us stuck? And here, what are we going to do about it now? So I hope you like this episode. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're looking for more strategies to not just doing strategies, but being strategies to elevate your own game, elevate your mission and the impact and the difference that you want to make sure you subscribe to our blog. Each week, I send you interviews or strategies or tips on things that I use for my own business. I use with my private client coaching, all tools that you can use to reach a whole new level of success. Because once we understand that the getting unstuck is not in the doing, but it's in the digging and in the being, once we get that, we see that so much more is possible. Thank you for being here week after week, and I will see you next Tuesday.